For almost a decade on my TV show Interview with Ed, I've been interviewing extra-dimensional beings and consciousnesses from a number of different realms. Many of my questions have been answered, but with every answer comes more questions. Join me on my ongoing quest to find out, who are we? Why are we here? And where are we going? All right. Welcome, everybody. Happy Sunday. We have a very special guest today, Asil, and you are coming to us from Sonoma County. And
That's right.
You've got in the middle of a, what do you call it? A bomb something or another.
Atmospheric river.
River.
Bomb cyclone.
Bomb cyclone, yes. Oh, it's crazy. Well, how are you, sir? It's been a while. Been a minute.
It's been a while, yes. I'm actually in a good place. Thank you for asking, Reuben. You know, it's been a whirlwind of a 2023. I feel like things are accelerating more than I have experienced it in the past.
Oh, yeah.
22 was kind of like a recovery year. Everything was still a little bit wonky. 2023, I feel like we hit this year with the foot fully on the gas pedal. That's kind of like the way I've been feeling it.
Yeah.
Going on intense and fast and really strap on, put your seatbelts on kind of intensity. But
Sure.
there is a strong movement. So on a personal nature, I feel very good, healthy, experiencing my own, what I would consider tests and challenges. And I think we all do in some ways.
Sure. Yeah, it is the time for that, for sure.
Yeah. And I'm also noticing that there is an entire new level of presence that's needed and that's really coming. That's really entering my own personal being, but I also see it in a lot of other people, like a shift.
Right. Like you think people are kind of catching on that we better change our ways or else there's not a good future ahead of us.
I definitely see and feel that. Yeah.
Right. Awesome. You've been traveling a lot too, right? Every time I hear from you, you're like in South America or over in Europe or something.
Yes, that's right.
Since the last time many of the members here have seen the episode, and that was, so they kind of left off there, and that was, that was 2 years? No, 2.5 years, maybe close to 3. I know the episode came out last year. Yeah. Where have you been? Where have your ventures taken you since then?
Where have I been? And I've been to a lot of places in South America and Latin America, Costa Rica, Guatemala. I've been to Brazil, particularly to the Amazonian regions of Brazil. I've been to specific sacred sites in Europe, a lot of them being in Greece. So I did an entire expedition through Greece and the sacred sites that was quite spectacular, I have to say. It's like one of those countries that has been touched through millennia in different historical epochs and cultural ecosystems and spiritual ecosystems. It's just mind-blowing, and Greece is magical all around. So we completed that. Had a short visit as well in Turkey, Istanbul again.
Right.
And
I'm guessing prior to the earthquake.
Yes, prior. Yeah, it's been quite an interesting experience to go back to Istanbul after having done an expedition a couple of years back in Turkey. It's, again, another one of those cities that's been like touched by so many cultures, and the fabric of that city carries so many sacred sites and really energetically potent power places. It's like one of those cities where you could keep digging and you'd find new layers of evidence of different civilizations underneath and just keep going.
Right. Kind of like
never ending.
What was it? The recent show with Graham Hancock, the Ancient Apocalypse. I thought he explained that. Have you seen it? Are you familiar with the show?
I'm familiar with the show. I haven't had a moment to watch it though.
Oh, gotcha.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, well, he really explains really well this idea of these different churches or temples built on top of these sites where they have been holding sacred ceremony or sacred large temples, and they've just, that one kind of not crumbles, but they kind of just keep building over on top of it, over on top of it. So a lot of the mysteries are hidden inside the what we think is a modern church or a modern temple. And if
Absolutely.
you go in the center, then you've got ancient civilization stuff.
Absolutely. I went to Syria during the war, and particularly to Damascus. There is one mosque that's really famous, the Umayyad Mosque, which is supposedly holding one of the remains of St. John the Baptist. And what's fascinating is that giant mosque used to be a church beforehand, also dedicated to St. John the Baptist. And before, it was a synagogue. And before, it was a pagan temple. And before, it was something else. So the UNESCO was digging, apparently, according to the imam that we talked to, and they dug for 7 years, and they went to like deeper and deeper layers, and they were back like 5,000-6,000 years. And at some point, they decided, we can go further, but seems like it's a never-ending story. So they went pretty much like 5,000-6,000 years back to ancient temples that were established on that particular place.
Wow. Yeah. That's
the first-hand experience with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So you have one of the coolest jobs, getting to go to all these amazing places, getting put in jail for being a crazy magician or wizard. Yeah. And all that fun stuff. Obviously, I don't envy that part of your journey, but the sacred site stuff is super cool that you're doing that work. So it reflects the work we've been doing with the crystal skull quite a bit in a very similar way of just taking the skull around to these places and getting the energy going. So it's so nice to know that there's a multiple, I know not just you, but many other people too are doing this work and reactivating the planet, this energy that's needed to carry the new Earth.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I was going to say, if you could go into some of that with your teachings as well.
Yeah, the Sacred Earth work is really interesting. This program that we do is called Sacred Earth, and it basically is connected to all the sacred sites around the world. And the guys that I work with basically said that in order to hold humanity's consciousness in this like very particular evolutionary process, it's not just enough to work with the individuals and support the individual person, but it's also required to support the Earth in its evolution, because the Earth and the human consciousness are still connected and tied to each other. So as the energy levels rise on this earthly plane, this increased energy needs to flow evenly and smoothly across the entire planet. And the Earth grid, or the energetic lines of this Earth, are basically like puncture lines. They're basically like the energy lines of the Earth, just the way we have our energy lines. And these energy lines cross over at certain areas. They're clogged and stagnant in certain areas, and so on. So there's a lot going on with regards to the energy lines. And they weren't all just there. They were established by different forms of civilizations over periods of time. So there is the dragon lines, and there is the Archangel Michael lines, and there is the Pleiadian lines, and there's so many different. The way I see it is almost like a subway map with different subways. Some of them overlap, and some of them like meet somewhere, and some of them are built on top of the other one, and so on. And they were built over different periods of time. So in my work, I go to these places, activate, clear, clean up, connect some of these puzzle pieces together, some of these nodal points together, to provide the established new infrastructure for what the guides are calling the Ascension Grid. So it's like building upon the existing grid to build a new grid that they call the Ascension Grid. And so it can meet to dozens of countries, hundreds and hundreds upon hundreds of sacred sites. And it started in the Middle East, cradle of civilization. And it includes going to sites of global trauma to clear that energy, the energy that's stagnant in some of these places. So that's been really part of the work, going to these places, reactivating, cleaning up, making sure that the energy moves. Now, what happens when the energy moves on a sacred site or in a specific region is that the people that live in that area are impacted by the rising frequency of that area. That's one thing. The other thing is that some of these sacred sites that have been there, that are active, can now much more easily connect to other sites around the globe. So we are creating a way that we benefit from the activation of the pyramids of Giza or the activation of some Mayan sites in South America and vice versa. So everyone is benefiting from this cleaner flow of energy across the entire planet. In a nutshell, that's what it's about.
Awesome. So laying the foundation for us to sort of build this new earth in a more physical way. So you're sort of putting the, like you said, acupuncture, laying the energetic groundwork. So as we go through the shifts and the people get activated, then we have a clean energy space to build new economic systems that we're moving into now in this next chapter of our evolution. But also, I'm guessing, just better ethics or integrity in a sense. Like you have to, I see it as like gardening, right? You have to plow the land and get the soil aerated and add your nutrients and get it ready for planting, right? So that's what you're doing, sounds like.
Yeah, very much like gardening. Pretty accurate.
I haven't been in the garden a few minutes.
It's a good analogy. Preparing the soil.
Mm-hmm.
Some people could say it is a bit like engineering. It's basically building pipelines for energy to move through. Some people could say it's a bit like acupuncture, going there and putting the right needles in the right spot so that the energy can move and moving any stagnant energy and stagnant chi forward. Some people say it's the cleanup crew. So,
have you heard of electroculture? Are you familiar with that term?
No.
Electroculture. I just started doing it. It's literally acupuncture for your garden. You take a copper wire and you wrap it around sticks or whatnot, and it's sort of, you put it in your garden in different places, and you can put it in your pots, but it actually literally pulls energy from the ether and really helps the soil. It's an ancient practice that kind of got lost and then coming back now. It seems to be a popular thing, but it just reminds me of literally I'm taking copper wires and sticking into the ground underneath
fantastic.
So my garden will do better without pesticides.
Have you seen some results yet, or?
Not personally, just online. People are posting their different, like a one plant that has the wires and one doesn't, and it seems the ones that do better.
It does make sense. Like, even though energy is consistently available to us in an omnipresent way, being able to tap into the energy that's consistently available and being able to utilize it in a meaningful way, these are multiple steps involved, right? And if, just speaking about us, if our systems are not clean, if our systems are not tuned into the right frequency, it's very difficult for us to receive the energy that's totally available to us, right? Which is why they say when you're going into nature, take off your socks and go there barefoot so that you can have the connectivity. Totally. If you have plastic shoes on, then you won't be receiving the good stuff that's right there. Exactly. And that's like one example.
Yeah, and it's connected to, I think, like free energy devices, because the concept and the idea we're here, we're connecting to these other beings and other energy, these unseen things, right? And we know it exists because we can feel it, we can experience it, but it also gives credence to the idea of free energy, because so many people couldn't even fathom. Everything is so fixed with the laws of physics that we've been pulled through our educational systems. So now that we're experiencing these other energies, I feel we're also priming and opening up the acupuncture points for humanity to be more accepting of, oh yeah, we could just pull energy from the ethers. Why do we have to do some sort of heavy lifting or burn something or explode something to create this energy? Let's just pull it out because it exists. So that I think there's another segue. I think this is a bigger, the energy and this idea of gridding the planet, like when the next levels in the next phase perhaps would be new alternative energy systems.
Mm-hmm.
David Wolf, I don't know if he's a famous like gardening guy. He posted yesterday, he was filming his property and there was all these chemtrails in the sky, except for his little area. There was like a circle around his area. And he's like, it's because of these electrical, he was just starting to the electroculture thing too.
Wow.
And they're, not only are they helping your plants, they're chemtrail busters. So I'm like, okay, yeah, let me put them all over my yard. Let's see what happens. Maybe grid Big Bear with them, my whole mountain. So we'll see. But yeah, so back to, so you had some documentary work done too this time when you were traveling. How did that go?
It went great, as how it goes. You know, you collect a lot of material and then being able to have the time and the resources, capacity to sift through all the material to make the best out of it and to have the strategy to bring it to the people. It's a long process. And yeah, but we collected incredible material from, I started specifically in Greece. I was all the way up in north and just went to like all the different sites, lots of Greek Orthodox sites. We went to Mount Athos, which is this Greek Orthodox island or peninsula that's been in the hands of the Greek Orthodox Church. It's pretty much like their Vatican. No one can go in there without a particular permit, and only men are allowed there just because of the way it's established. Mm-hmm. And it's like only monasteries and monks. So you go there to pray. So I went there with a camera team, and they're super, super strict about filming and all of that. They've been burned a couple times in the past where people said, oh yeah, this is just like a small production thing. And then suddenly it appears in like Netflix and they're like, what? So they were like very suspicious and we were very careful and very friendly, very respecting. And then eventually they opened up to us and they allowed us to film some rituals that no one has ever filmed before, like overnight prayers that they do and ceremonies. It was fascinating. You know, from there we went to a lot of the ancient Greek sites, to the Oracle of Delphi, where I channeled the last oracle that had lived, which was also mind-blowing in itself. Going to the sites of the ancient Greek gods, Mount Olympus, and then Delos Island, where Apollo and Artemis were born. It's just so rich and so thick and so much material. I visited 42 sites in 30 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And that was the European tour.
That was specifically Greece.
That was just Greece.
Just Greece.
Okay.
Just Greece. And this year we're doing, in June, we're going to Bosnia, Serbia, Croatia. And it's going to be pretty much like a Balkans tour. And it's going to include concentration camps. It's going to include sites of war crimes.
Right.
Like the Sarajevo Stadium. Yeah, like mass graves. Like some of the stuff that needs to be cleared up. I know some people are doing good work around it, but there is probably a good reason why I'm being sent back there again to do some of this work. And of course, like the Bosnian pyramids and so on. So what's coming up in June is going to be fascinating.
Wow. So that's coming up in June. Oh, wow.
Coming up in June. But for anyone who's interested here, like we have an entire Guatemala expedition for free available on our network. No one's interested. Maybe we have, who did we have here? Denise, Farah, they're one of my team members. If you guys can just give people the access to the Guatemala expedition, which has all the material of the different Mayan sites in Guatemala and just the transmissions that I channeled at those places. It was a really epic journey in itself.
Did anything specifically come through about Atlantis or those types of civilizations that used to be around?
Let me see. I mean, the Mayan civilization in itself was such a mystical civilization, right?
Oh, okay.
Very, very, very powerful, incredibly awakened, and incredibly tapped in. And the information that we were getting there was that they had been in connection with civilizations from Orion's belt.
Okay.
And these civilizations were giving the information and the knowledge that they had to build in terms of architecture, cosmology,
Right.
mathematics, agriculture. All of these different things were being delivered. And at some point, this connection started to become a lot more of a connection of dependency. It started to become, in a way, the connection was becoming detrimental to the development of the humans that were receiving the information. So they started to become codependent, right? And their consciousness wasn't really evolving. They were just reciting and executing on the things they were receiving. So powers above decided to cut that connection off. They did. Once they did, people that were in power no longer had that connection. And it started to create this revolting energy from the bottom. People that were following were no longer following because the people that they had been following don't have that level of connection and power anymore, right? So they started to connect with lower level intelligence and lower level consciousness.
The whole civilization, or just like all the
I'd say like the people that were in power at that time.
Okay.
The people that were in power. Because what happens when you no longer have the same power source available to you, you have a vacuum and you need to fill that vacuum. There is enough forces to fill these power vacuums. They don't all operate in the highest frequency, in the highest intentions. So some of these gaps in connection or knowledge were filled by lower level forms of consciousness. And the way you know how a force is more lower level than the ones that are really higher level is the ones on the highest level require nothing in return for what they provide. It's purely unconditionally handed over to you. We don't want anything in return. It's a pure support mechanism, right?
Right. Yeah.
The way you start to know when things are lower level is when they require something in return, especially blood, right?
Yes.
That's when you know it's like,
Yeah.
oh, we're dealing with a different force here.
Right. And so that's where the sacrifices and stuff started coming in.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
It started off first with animal sacrifices, and then it started to continue to human sacrifices. And that was kind of like the dark ages or the dark era of the Mayans.
And did they eventually grow out of that, or obviously the Mayans now are doing that? But
well, there is something,
or maybe some branches of Mayans are still doing that, I'm sure.
Well, not really. It's still a bit of there is Mayan shamans that are still active, and the Mayans are considerably, I don't know the exact number, but it's probably 30 plus ethnic groups that are just grouped as Mayans.
Sure.
But they're very distinct, have their own languages, have their own rituals, their own cultures. Really fascinating, actually. At that time, the ancient Mayan civilization that was disconnected, there was some sort of extinction event. And we don't know exactly what has happened. Some people say, well, they all moved to Mexico and started a whole new era with the Aztec. Right. Some people say that there was famine, there was civil war, and pretty much created that, self-destructive event. And some people say it had to do with aliens. So, that some of those.
In what way? Like aliens came and got him?
Pretty much, yeah. But there's that theory as well. So there's several of those. I personally, you know, I personally think it was a combination of self-destructive actions and this almost like a diaspora, like a separation, the ones with knowledge or with power going as far as they could to start new.
Almost maybe like a splitting of two worlds, like we're talking about right now, even like what's kind of happening now is we're having the giant split in ways of doing things.
Yeah, absolutely. So in that sense, the Mayan civilization is super fascinating. And some of these transmissions talk about these different eras that they were going through. Really fascinating. Also, the whole thing with colonization that was happening at the same time. And it's just mind-blowing. This whole,
and that was coming.
I love my job.
That was coming through the chat. I mean, was that because you were there and you were kind of interacting and then you were in that energy and it was just coming through?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, the way it works is like we make this giant list of all the sacred sites that exist in a country. And then I go through this list with Emmanuel, one of the angelic guides that I work with. And Emmanuel basically says, yes, no, not necessary, this site, maybe, and so on. So we then have a list of all the yes sites and all the maybe sites. And then we create this map of all the places that we need to go to. And it's all logistical, unfair to get that going. And then we visit all these sites. And at these sites, I am embodied and they do all this energetic work at the site. And then they also deliver some sort of spoken channeling about the site, about the work that was done, and how it's relevant to the overall liquid earth, the grid work around the world. It's really
amazing.
Fascinating.
Yeah. I like how you're also just blown away by the whole.
I mean,
you're a spectator too, right?
I'm total spectator, man. Right. I'm just like watching this whole thing unfold right in front of my eyes. All I have to do is just follow the lead in that way and trust.
Yeah. That's awesome. Pretty cool. That's kind of like my job, but you're on a whole other level. How is the channeling evolving, I should say? Because you mentioned Emmanuel, who we brought through initially, and then eventually I think the Elohim came through. But how's that developing? Are there new guys popping in, or
the new guys pop in when it's relevant, right? So the way it works is like when I'm in a specific site, they will, like for example in Guatemala, there was a particular Mayan temple that was dedicated to a feathered serpent being called Kukumatz.
Yeah,
which so
Quetzalcoatl, is that the same being? Quetzalcoatl?
Yes, exactly. So the Aztec took it over as Quetzalcoatl later on. So I'm there at this temple in Kumarkaf, dedicated to Kukumatz. And I'm doing all of the work. And then suddenly, it's just, I can see this being rising from the ground level, like outside, out of the ground. And it just basically targets me and enters my being.
Wow.
And it fried my circuitry. Like I was knocked out and then bounced back up. And then it started to talk through me. And that was my experience of channeling Kukumatz, or this energy.
Wow.
And it was something really, really potent. And basically what he was saying is that a lot of beings like him, or like it, decided to stay behind on Earth when the gates to higher planes of existence were closing. They had an option to go back or to stay. Many of them went back. Some of them stayed into a dormant state of being until the energies would rise again and they would be awakened when the time has come. And this was his time to be awakened. Now I'm like, did we just awaken a dragon? You know, what did we just do?
Right.
Let's just go quickly before anyone notices what you did. No, just jokes aside,
Yeah.
we did hear independently a lot of, we have a team in Guatemala, and they're kind of like connected into the spiritual scene. And we heard from multiple different sources that shamans have been claiming that they have been having incidences and connections with Kukumatz since that time that we've been there. There's an increase of actions now happening between the Mayan shaman and Kukumatz.
That's awesome.
It is quite interesting.
Super cool. That's your acupuncture point.
That's an acupuncture point.
Released in energy.
When other beings come through, it is very often contextual.
I see. Wow. Super cool. Is that session available on your website?
It is. It is. Actually, Farah just shared the Guatemala expedition journey that you can join. It's for free. And the session in Kumar Cafe is definitely there, and anyone can watch it.
Awesome. And when we first met, we were with Preet and Jules, with the Stargate experience. And you were out in Europe working with them as well, or how are you often working with them still?
We try to work once a year together, and it's like they have a crazy schedule, we have a crazy schedule. So it's sometimes like really hard to align them, but we love working with them. We were last time together in Glastonbury, so we held a retreat there, and the retreat was called Accelerated Ascension. And people can still do it if anyone's interested. Accelerated Ascension is available to be redone. It's equally effective as if it was like in life, since it's happening in the quantum space beyond space and time anyways.
Right.
And Accelerated Ascension was really a direction that we got. It was about how within each human template, there is an energetic blueprint that is dormant, and it's in us for a time of great awakening, for a time when the ascension process of humanity is starting. And these blueprints can be activated through a series of events and transmission and procedures, lack of better word, energetic procedures.
Okay.
And so Accelerated Ascension was really about activating these ascension blueprints and these ascension templates. And people had quite mind-blowing experiences.
That's yes, I know. I've been there.
Yeah.
Some of the people getting their mind blown. It's awesome to witness it firsthand. Not there in Glastonbury, but the other work you guys did together.
Yeah.
Are you sensing what's it like working with the Stargate, like in Shasta, as opposed to working it in say Glastonbury? Is there a difference in the energy?
Wherever we go, there is, first of all, there's so many things changing, right? So I change. My connection to my guides change. The earth energies change. Their energy changes. Then the location in which we are is changing. And if you combine all of these factors that are changing, to be able to say, like, that's the reason why this is happening is almost impossible. There's so many variables, right?
Yeah.
But I do feel like, first of all, when I go from one side to another side, and even in the same country, I can feel distinct energetic changes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure some people here experienced what it's like to be on a sacred site, and to go from one sacred site to another sacred site, just feeling the difference, the frequency difference, even if these sites were only a couple miles away from each other, right? So there can be already like a massive shift in that way, but we are noticing a major transformational process happening on Earth. There's no doubt about it.
No doubt, yeah.
It's impacting everyone, everywhere. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, and it's just across the board. Everyone is impacted by it.
Yeah. And in some places more than others, but you're right. Absolutely. This is definitely, we kind of thought COVID was this impactful thing. I think that was on a narrative level or a spoken level. Yes, it was this global thing that affected everybody, but it's been not COVID, not just COVID, because we went through that phase and now we're still experiencing all this turbulence and crazy energies, and the sun has been spitting out all kinds of
the sun has been really active.
Mm-hmm.
So the one thing that I heard about it was that because the energy levels on this entire earthly plane, this physical plane, are rising, what's going to happen is the cosmological bodies that are the ones that are receiving the energy and transmuting that energy into physical energy are the suns and the stars. But they're going to be the first ones to basically receive that increased energy and move it out, right?
I see. Yeah.
So it's coming through them, but it's also coming through the fabric of reality as well. So it's coming from multiple sides, if you say so.
Oh, I see.
And we're also feeling it internally inside of us. So it's from outside and inside. We are getting, in a good way, hammered. We're getting blasted by an incredible force of energy.
Yeah.
Question is, are we prepared and are we ready internally to receive that energy? And are we able to direct it in a way that it actually uplifts us rather than it becoming detrimental internally, or it's being projected onto others and it becomes detrimental between people?
And is this sort of this idea of, it's been talked about, and we can see it where people are literally going crazy. We're seeing that sort of
100%
irrational thinkings in a lot of ways.
100%. The energy rises and you have no way to direct it properly, then what it's going to do, it's going to just accentuate of existing misalignments, just going to become louder. And even like the smallest fears will become magnified. The smallest worries, doubts are going to become magnified. The smallest thoughts of paranoia, hysteria, or anything is just going to become magnified. The people are going to lose their shit. It's just part of the deal. Now the question is, how do we help people to not lose their shit, right? So how do you support humanity in this process of evolution when the energies are rising, but there is pre-existing conditions in every single human being? And I include myself in it. We all have been conditioned by trauma, our own trauma, and the trauma of our previous generation. Right. So it is a multi-generational conditioning that we all are carrying. And it is our responsibility to clear it up if we have the right mindset and using the tools we have around us to do that. We are the generation to do it. There's no one's going to come to save us, quote unquote. We're going to get support if we choose to walk this path of healing and growth. We're getting a lot of support, but no one's going to save us.
Right. Yeah. And so many people are looking for that savior, right? They're seeking, and that's where, this field, obviously the metaphysical and the UFO field, and everybody's wanting this magic pill that's going to take them away so they don't have to deal with the issues. And it sounds like, I think we're in the same boat in our thinking, that it's the magic boat is within you, right? Or magic pill. You have to adopt these modalities, walking a specific path, and through that comes your ticket, in a sense. And it's not even a ticket. It shouldn't even be presented in that way, but I think a lot of people can maybe resonate. And I was going to say, going back to the original, what do you do to say people who are losing their shit? How do you help someone who's losing their shit?
Well, I think the most important piece here is if someone is really going through a difficult time and is in the construct of their own creation,
right,
and their conditioning and their traumas, and they're locked in that, stuck in that construct,
which is collective humanity.
it's collective humanity, right? And
Right.
everyone is to a different degree stuck or stagnant in that energetic construct. I think the key piece is feeling that there is a possibility of expansion, of peace, that we can all reach together. So in our work that we deliver, in the transmissions that the guides deliver, even the people that carry the deepest and the most difficult traumas and concerns and fears have a moment where they can reach a feeling of peace. Now, that's not an aspect of avoidance or escapism. It is feeling the possibility of a non-dual consciousness that we have within us.
Right.
Non-duality allows to observe everything as one, rather than in this dualistic experience that we're having as humans.
Right.
Now, there's nothing wrong with it. We are in this dualistic reality. We're having a dualistic experience, but this dualism is being stretched further and further, and is challenging the sheer fabric of our perspective and reality.
Sure.
And being able to bridge that gap between duality and non-duality, having a moment of peace for someone who's been struggling so long, you know what that is? It's like after a long walk in the desert, arriving at an oasis.
Right.
It doesn't mean they're going to stay there. It just means they feel the possibility. I see. There is a possibility for me to be in peace and inner alignment. What an interesting experience. I never thought that's possible.
Right.
Right? So they're starting to feel an internal sense of power and empowerment, rather than the power being outside, right?
Yep.
Something outside is going to come and fix you. In a state of this non-dual existence and consciousness expansion, they are able to look at themselves, all the traumas of life, all the challenges of life, all aspects that they have suppressed, all aspects that they have shamed and guilted and pushed away of their own being. They can look at it and be okay with it. Be able to embrace all that they are, so that healing can start to occur. This fragmentation of their being starts to become whole again. And these realizations integrate into their being so that they can become an aligned, a whole human being.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, to me, that's healing.
Sure. Absolutely.
And then they don't lose their shit as much as.
Right. So I guess just helping people find that place within themselves, that quiet, and it's probably gonna be different for everybody. But
yes.
But yeah.
And it's not just like, oh, here's a meditation and then you'll be fine.
Right.
It's work. It's
Sure.
Definitely there is work involved in here. Being able to face some of your darkest fears. Being able to face some of the most difficult emotions in your being, or the emotions that your previous generations just have passed on to you because they didn't have the tools and the mechanisms to deal with it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, it's totally what it seems like. We're sort of having this experience of people losing their shit, and then the experience of people dealing with it. And then I guess eventually there's going to have to be this convergence of the people who figured out how to deal with it, and teachers like yourself who are teaching methods and ways to deal with it, then to recognize there's this group of people who are shit and like, okay, let's hang out for a minute and let me share some of this, and then hopefully we can get through it. I know a lot of it is sort of belief systems and ideas which we're rapidly moving through with disclosures, and a lot of what's the famous saying of the past few months. It's like even Elon Musk said every conspiracy theory you can think of that has come true, right? As far as, when he took over Twitter and was talking about the Twitter files and all of that stuff. So we're having a lot of people's minds blown in that sense, which is good. We need to get through the fakeness and the unrealness, but it is sort of the great awakening in a way of people coming to the realization that the constructs of reality have not been what they've been told. And for me, it's a lot of fun because I've been in this world, in the conspiracy world for over a decade. And I'm just giddy every time. I'm like, yes, there's another one. There's another one. Yes, it's coming out. But then that, depending on who you are, and if you're new to it all, it's me kind of, cheering it on. Probably it's not good optics. But before we get into channeling, there's a lot going on in the chat. If anybody wants to pop in, why don't we start are you okay to take some questions from
of course
here?
Totally.
As a seal, and then we'll do some channeling and then get into the guides. If anybody wants to raise your hand, hop in. Beth, okay, you have some stuff here. And I will find anybody. Bueller. I think Asil, you're old enough to get that joke, right?
Which one?
The Bueller.
Oh yeah. That was a good one.
All right, let me see if oh wait, here we go. Miriam has a hand. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Asil.
Hi.
So I have a question for you. I'm part of your foundations course, and before that, I recently signed up for the Discovery Earth series, and I've noticed that I've lost a lot of energy. I'm not sure if I've lost a lot of energy or if I've just lost like my ADHD. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but usually I get up and I'm energized and I go hiking in nature and I do 100 things in one day. Now it's like sometimes I feel like I can't move. Or not that I can't move, but I'm like, where's my energy? Like, am I just supposed to sit and meditate? Because that's what I've been doing. And then I've been sleeping a lot. Typically, I would sleep 6 hours. Now, on average, now I'm sleeping like 8 or 9 hours. So I'm wondering if that's what my body needs, or is this like, are the adjustments or alignment that have been happening, is this, an integration period, or what's going on?
Yeah. So what we have been noticing is when people start with this work and this complete energetic reconstruction, there is a lot of energy going into the reconstruction of one's being. So people have to sleep a lot more as these processes are happening. And it's very common. You're not the only one that is experiencing this. But what happens is, as the work that's being done is integrated, you're able to receive the energy of these rising energy in a much better way, in a much more controlled, in a much more stable way. And it'll drive you much more naturally. It's very common that in the beginning it feels a bit more like, oh man, I'm lethargic, or like, what do I do? Like, where is this? Like, what's happening? Why am I sleeping so much? So it's very common that in the beginning that is the case, but it all changes and transforms to a greater, higher level of energy, a higher baseline of operation without being ADHD.
Okay, thank you. And then also I wanted to mention that I've been struggling at my work because I don't have any motivation. every time or motivation or inspiration, and it's like instead of doing what I'm supposed to do, I'm like, well, let me meditate and get my head straight, and then I just meditate. It's like the whole, because I work from home, which also doesn't is I can get very relaxed really quickly, and so sometimes, I'm trying to do these transmissions every day, but I've noticed that if I skip 2 days, I'm better off because I can then have my energy back.
Like doing transmissions every day is a lot, for any advanced person, it's a lot. So,
Sometimes I do too.
Oh my
Is that too
God,
much?
that makes so much sense why you're like wiped. You're basically on the surgery table every day, twice a time. So if you think about it that way, yeah, it's a lot. I would say if you reduce the amount of transmissions you do to a pace that makes more sense with your current life, you'd be better off. Because if you were to, like, let's say, I want to accelerate my development so fast and I'm taking no prisoners, I don't care about relationships, I don't care about job, I don't care about eating, I'm just going to focus on my ascension process as quickly as possible. Yeah, that's the path to do it. Do as many transmissions as possible, go fast. But we are living human lives, right? So we have people that we love, that look for us, at us, they rely on us. There is jobs to be done and fulfilled. There's a lot of things going on. So I would say find a pace that is more in alignment with your current life so you can do both. Now, the other thing I want to say is when you go through an internal transformational process, it is very common that the environment that you have created for yourself from the consciousness you were holding in the past may no longer feel aligned. It's very possible and likely that the job that you're doing does no longer feel right for you.
That's what I'm feeling, and I don't know what to do.
It's so normal. It's so normal. So what I would do in the beginning, don't do anything hasty, okay? So that's the most important thing. Allow this work that's being happening on you and through you, allow it to integrate and solidify and ground. And from that place, you look into what is it that fills me with life, energy, to be able to share the state of being and this presence that I now hold. And find something that is more aligned with you. Now, when you have grounded in and when you have integrated this work, opportunities will come because you have a different resonance field. You have a different presence that attracts different things into your being, into your environment. Things change, relationships change, jobs change because you are changing. That's the truth and that's the reality.
Yeah, I really just want to be in nature, and my job pays really well, so I'm very grateful for that. But the fact that it pays really well gives me maybe fear of leaving it. But at the same time, my brain has already kind of checked out, in a sense, and so because I can't really, with this ADHD, it's really hard for me to focus in general, and now it's been really difficult, but
yeah,
hopefully I'll find something that I can do.
I am sure you will. I am sure you will. Allow yourself, give yourself the time and the space to integrate and to land and to ground and spend time in nature as you do and allow this new way of being to present to you a new world, a new way of being, a new way of living.
I really do feel like I'm becoming a brand new person.
Yeah, you are.
The work is amazing.
No doubt.
Yeah, I appreciate you and the guides, Emmanuel and the Elohim. I'm really grateful for everything that you do.
Oh, it's so good to have you. And you really get your seatbelts on for this Foundations in April. That's going to be like a rocket ship.
All right.
All right. So we did one more question?
Yeah, one more. Thank you, Miriam. Charmaine. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hi, Fernand.
Yeah. Hi, Asil. It's so nice to be here and so nice to have this opportunity to talk to you. I felt when I watched Reuben's show with you there was something about that interview that and what you'd said, it just resonated with my heart in a really deep way. And I think I'm beyond discerning. I'm skeptical a lot of the times, but there was something that was just so true and really kind of felt deep for me in what you had shared. So thank you. And
Thank you for sharing that.
yeah, yeah. And so there's a couple questions that I have and some things that had popped up for me. I work as a psychotherapist, as an art therapist, and for me, I'm familiar with everything that's come up in the world and people needing support right now. And for me personally, my world was always about living outside of myself and feeling the energies and being sensitive to things around me to the point where it got just too much, where I recognized at one point that I'm a 3-dimensional being. I want to be in my body. I want to work in the 3D world, which kind of pushed me into studying things that felt a little more grounded. Although I work very holistically, right? I work transpersonally. And so it was something that came up for me, and I'm not sure if you mentioned this in the video, in the interview that Reuben did, with your background. Is your background Islamic, or where did you originate from? What's your heritage?
I was born and raised in Austria, in Vienna, but by Turkish parents, but they were not really practicing Muslims. So I was born in a Roman Catholic country by Turkish parents living in the Hasidic Jewish district of Vienna. So,
Okay, all right.
so much like very, very diverse.
Okay. All right. Well, because my question was going to be around what's coming up for me a lot. I work transpersonally with people. So we bring in guides, we bring in spirits. It could be someone that, something that people resonate with. And what's been coming in a lot for me that I'm unfamiliar with is the energy of Allah. And so I don't know why it came up. I wanted to know if you had any background, if any like ancient mystical Islamic pieces were incorporated into your work, because that's coming up for me as something I want to study and know more about. And I feel like it's something I've missed because I grew up here in Canada. I'm in Canada. So, and yeah, I'm just fascinated by that. But sorry, I didn't mean to,
No, it's all good. I think it's beautiful.
I remember hearing you.
What's fascinating is like in this work that I do, there is like we haven't incorporated anything actually into it. It's all completely channeled and delivered in the moment. None of it is influenced by anything that I have been or I have worked with in the past. Now, did my past bring me to become the human being that was able to open up to these guides? Yes, absolutely. Right. So my past, everything that I've done in the period to become this channel that the guides are working through, but what they're delivering is so unique and independent of any ideologies or human construct. That's what makes it so incredibly beautiful and pure from my perspective, because it is not laden and flavored by any existing ideology or lineage. It is meant to encompass all of them. It is meant to embrace and integrate everyone. So when people ask me, it's like, well, I have this belief system. Is this like negating or is it contradicting with the work that I'm doing here with you guys? Because we have a lot of people coming from very strict religious background, right? They have that question. And I always say like, no, it doesn't. Because the guides say you can do this and you can still believe in whatever you want to believe in. Like no one is telling you to not believe in something or to believe in something, right? This is how this work stays so non-dual and so open, right? It is meant to address everyone and support everyone in that way. Now, when it comes to Islamic teachings, I have several friends who are devout Sufis, and they have received so much from that. And I love the Sufi wisdom that exists out there in the world and the way it is, connected to unconditional love and love of creation. And there is a lot of similarity in some of these Sufi teachings, in Taoist teachings, in Buddhist teachings, and some of the teachings of Jesus Christ, right? So there is like many connection points. And there is a lot of connection points as well by the things that are channeled to the guides that we work. So you'll see incredible amounts of overlap in different traditions and different lineages. But ultimately, what matters is what brings you to a deeper state of presence, deeper state of alignment, deeper state of expansion, and what makes you a better human being, right? That is able to love more, that is able to be loved more. And in all of that, you become a shining example of a human being that just impacts everyone that you get in connection with and that you get in touch with. That's the ultimate goal, no matter what the belief system is, no matter what the practice is. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Charmaine.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Asil. I'm just gonna pop. I just want to throw this in there. I just before getting on the call, I was on a community chat with another group, and there's a lot of worry right now about the incoming economic collapse, right? So people are like, well, with a high potential of central bank digital currencies coming out, a lot of people don't want to adapt that. A lot of people are saying, well, how's it going to work if I don't do it? Am I going to have to pay my electric bill, and I'm going to get my pension in that? I'm going to have to do it at some point. So there's all this talk about it. And then in the chat, they were sort of going on about community, and it seemed like that was the solution, like community. And then I had replied, community is the currency of the future and the past, because that's how we got along in the past, was we just had community that supported each other. And I think that's, forget which currency is going to be what, or should we adopt Bitcoin, or should we adopt gold, or which is the next, is Russia going to win, and the Brexit countries, are they going to be having their currency? All this, like, what ifs, right? But if you got strong community, which we went and had a meeting with our neighbors yesterday, I was like, that's all I need. I don't need to care about anything else. If I have strong community, then we're set. So that goes along with your last statement to Charmaine there. So
yeah, community, and also what I think that's being something that's activating in this most recent time is our inherent power that we have within us, right? This connection to all of existence that we hold within, this energy, this fuel, and this love of creation that is accessible to us. Activating that, you know what that does? It finally gives you the feeling of being supported all around, of being loved unconditionally, of being fueled by an energy that is omnipresent. And once we start to feel that, there's a sense of trust, confidence, a sense of impeccable, deep love. And then I look at challenges, things that are potentially coming or might be coming my way or our way. And I feel so much more at peace looking at them, knowing how I'm held, even if it means that this is the end of this life for me. Even if that's what it is, I'm okay with that. So finding peace all around with life itself and the transition of life itself is what is going to make us incredibly powerful human beings in life. And if you're surrounded with other beings of that kind, that community is super powerful, right?
super.
Because whenever you lose sight, someone is going to jump in and is going to be reflecting you the right kind of projection, right?
Right.
So
And especially if we know those tools, if we have those tools, we'll be able to accelerate really fast.
absolutely.
Because we'll know that any disturbance in the force, so to say, is what we'll be able to identify and do that inner work ourselves to sort of not put the blame on somebody else.
Absolutely. And I think so, in that sense, we are all going through a massive transformation as humanity, as well as in our societal structures, as well as communal structures, relationship structures, like everything is changing. I don't think there is anything that is left that is not changing
Right.
at a
Totally.
dramatic pace. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely. All right. Tony, we were going to jump into channeling. Do you have a quick question?
No, that's fine. I just wanted to comment with,
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. So thank you, Asil, for that message. Because, at least for me, like when I hear all this stuff on the news, I feel it's like a complete reality, different reality than I am. Because like that reality is so like tied. I feel like to all the embedded, all these constructs that were placed into our mind, and like when you become, I guess, aware of your connection with all that is, it's two different worlds, right? So my husband is always glued on the TV. He's like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" I'm like, "That's not my reality. Like, I don't know how things are going to unfold, but I know they're going to be fine because of our connection to all that is." So, yeah, I just want to say that, like, the way you put it is very, very well.
It's really well said, and it's really well said, and I'm glad that you are feeling into the possibility of that we are going to be fine no matter what. That doesn't mean we should not be in action. It doesn't mean we should just be silent observers. It just means my actions coming from a place of conscious choice rather than a place of fear, right? Because there is enough people that are in fear and acting out of fear. Humanity does not need more people in fear and acting out of fear, right? We need to come into places of peace and power and act from that place, from a conscious choice place. And so thank you for saying that. And I'm glad that you are following that in your heart.
Thank you, Asil. Thank you, everybody. Take care of it.
Yeah. Thanks, Tony. Great. Yes, that was a very, very important message, I think. So, thank you. So, do we need to take a little break before we jump into channeling?
Yeah, if we could just do like a couple minutes of a break, and I'll also switch cameras and a couple things here.
Okay, awesome. And we'll so take 5, everybody, and we'll come back. I'll keep the channel open, but we'll just come back.
Yeah, I hear. But it's great when you were talking about community, because you're absolutely right on. The guides have spoken multiple times about how the world will be more community based and tribe based, so to speak, and trade and cooperation will be more important than any major financial or economic or political structures. So, but they also talk about what we were saying. I believe, Tony, you were touching upon it. Is like, we're all going to be okay. It's okay. This is our version of the expression of humanity right now. And there's things that'll happen in the future, and there's solar flares, and who knows what other potentially calamitous events, but not to worry about those things, because our job right now is to accelerate our own evolution and upgrade and receive the upgrades and allow ourselves to upgrade energetically and as humans. So if we can just stay focused on that, then that's kind of like the best use of our individual time. And it looks like you're doing a great job here with this community. I'm seeing a lot of great appreciative comments in the chats. So.
Totally. I couldn't do it without them. So thank you guys. It's like, I feel like humanity is, it's like a collective ayahuasca ceremony. Like some are losing their shit. Some people are holding space. and some people are just on their own journey, so
Yep.
it's
100%.
Reuben, the last in January, we spent some time together in Guatemala because we held the third of our series of advanced practitioner courses for the Pillars of Light program, and it's called Summit. And I said that, did I not say that exact thing? Who was there? Denise was there. Farah was there. Like, it's like a month-long medicine ceremony without the medicine.
right.
Just go through this whole thing. And it's usually what typically happens with any of our advanced courses. You're like, wait, what's going on?
Yeah, you guys are, well, like humanity is maybe on a psilocybin journey, and then what you guys are doing is to ayahuasca or combo or something really extreme. But we're all doing it. We're all doing the work in our own way.
That's why I was laughing along with this deal when Miriam's like, well, I do like two times a day. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, nice and slow.
That's great, though.
Yourself.
Powerful.
Totally.
It's awesome.
Cool. Well, thanks, Crystal. Thanks for catching up.
Yeah, I can.
All right, Asil, looks like you're ready and in position.
I'm ready to rock and roll.
All right. Well, I know it takes you a second or two or a minute or two to get into the state, and then do you have a feeling of who will come through first? Is it usually Emmanuel?
When it's a Q&A, then it's really most likely Emmanuel that will answer it. He's a bit like an ambassador. He's like a diplomat, right? So he kind of knows like how to answer human questions in the best possible way so that humans can get the most out of it. When the Elohim deliver a message, it's very much like this non-dual wisdom that it's going to take us like a year to unpack,
Right.
Like that type of deep level of multi-layered wisdom. And Emmanuel does a similar thing, but it's a bit more applicable and it's a bit more directly relevant to the question. So that's been kind of like our experience, but we'll see what happens, right?
Okay. In the beginning, would you think Emmanuel will have just a general message, or should we just go right into
definitely. Normally does. And then once he is complete, he'll say, I'll answer your questions now, something like that.
Okay.
And when it comes to questions, it's better to be more succinct, like have shorter questions rather than multi-layered, complex questions that are questions within questions within questions. So that makes it a bit more complex. And also when it comes to like personal questions, they don't really answer personal questions if it's in a public setting. So what they do is they'll take the personal question and what it's based on and answer like from a more group relevant response, right? A response that's relevant for everyone. So that's been my experience. And to be fair for everyone, I think if we're doing questions, let's do one question per person so that other people also get to have of course you can have as many questions as you want, Reuben.
Oh, yeah. I usually hog the mic. Yeah, keep it to one or two or maybe one, and then if there's people in queue in line, then come back and you can ask again. But yeah, I'm gonna try not to hog the mic too much today, and just maybe do an opening question, and then so everybody, while Asil's getting into the channel, if you want to go ahead and start raising your hand and get things together.
All right.
Hey there, if you like this broadcast and want to join us live each week, come over to the Interview with Ed membership portal. The links are down below, and you too can join in the conversation, asking the channel's questions directly and the beings at the channel. And we have a bunch of other offerings, so come on over and hang out with us. It's a great community. See you there.
Greetings. My name is Emmanuel. You have discovered that living the human experience brings forth a diversity of experiences and challenges. You've witnessed yourself navigating these challenges with grace and at times through avoidance. You've witnessed that the many generations before you discovered challenges and coping mechanisms for these challenges. And challenges created more challenges. Trauma turned into greater trauma. Pain into greater pain. Handed from one to another, from generation to another generation. Rarely truly realized, understood, integrated, and turned into true realization. Yet every challenge in itself carries the potential for realization. Every challenge is an impulse for evolution, for growth, and finding greater love in life itself. This is the journey of awakening. Awakening to the potential that you hold within yourself in this human experience. The ability and the power to transform all experiences into learning, into love, into realization, into evolutionary states of being. All of you have inherently this power. The ability to transform, the ability to transcend, the ability to walk a path of an awakened soul. And until you truly have embraced this truth, that the power is within you, you will find challenges that will test your perspective, that will test your patience, that will test your willpower, that will test your love for yourself and for others, your love for life itself. And as these tests become magnified and intensified by the rising energies of this earthly plane, you will find yourself among friends, supporters, technologies and methodologies, beings of non-material kind and beings of material kind, supporting you to face these challenges with grace. As your evolution is a significant element of the evolution of humanity. You, as a representative of humanity, are the key to the evolution of consciousness in human form. And every realization that occurs within you contributes to your awakening, to your evolution, and to the evolution of humanity. This is your priority now? As a society, as a collective, as a race? And your evolution as individuals, your evolution as a human race, as a human collective, will impact the way you live, the way you thrive, the way you exist on this planet, and the way your life and your existence will shape beyond this human form in a physical construct. You all have chosen to be alive at this time of existence, a time of great change, a time that you have prepared for through many lifetimes in human as well as in other forms. A preparation that you have gone through to be able to bring your full self to this time of existence. Yet you are not exempt from the challenges of being human and living a human life. You are not exempt from the challenges of being human, no matter how much experience you have had before. Therefore, the awakening process is similar in the early stages for every individual awakening. Allow yourself to be deconstructed. Allow yourself to be reinvented, to be realigned and reconstruct into the greatest potential version of yourself, the most aligned, the most empowered, the most loving version of yourself. The greatest potential that you carry is within reach. And it is time for you to claim that which is yours. Thank you for listening to my words. I will now answer some of your questions.
Hi, Emmanuel. Thank you. Beautiful message. And on that note, I wanted to ask about other civilizations and perhaps future human civilizations. Will we come into this life knowing about those challenges, about how the challenges are helping us evolve? We're sort of discovering now, but most of us, I don't think we're born knowing this, maybe very few. We're sort of born knowing that these challenges that show up are for our evolution. Will future generations of humans and perhaps from other civilizations, do they have this knowing when they're born?
As a soul, you know, before you enter this human form, the challenges you will experience and the challenges that are determined for this entire collective. Yet, as an individual living a specific incarnation, you must forget, so that the experience itself is untainted by previous knowledge and previous experience. It is unique for you. And it is an opportunity to learn from the beginning without preconceived notions, without bias, without the flavor of past experiences, past realizations, and perspectives. This form of learning is currently an early stage form of learning for a physical form as the human form is. Other physical forms have learned in different ways. Some remembered lifetimes over lifetimes. Some lived multiple lifetimes concurrently in multiple forms at the same time. Some were aware of the many lifetimes in different forms that they have lived. Some lived concurrent lifetimes in different periods of existence. As you can see, the variations of experiencing the physical form are vast. The human form was determined to experience the human form in this particular way. And until the completion of the human form, as a construct of learning, this particular way will stay as it was intended to be. Yet the human consciousness as a collective will emerge and will experience a new form of existence beyond this physical form. A non-material form of existence. A format of learning different than the one that you currently are subscribed to. A different format of evolution. This non-material form of existence will no longer require a physical form, yet will allow you to experience the imprints of physical experiences, the imprints of dualistic relational experiences, the imprints of experiencing time will continue to support your journey even in this non-material form. Yet until this new form of existence is fully available and accessible and has completely taken front for human existence, this physical form that you're experiencing will continue to serve its purpose of learning and evolution. What else can I answer for you?
Well, let's see if there's anybody that wants to ask a question. Go ahead and raise your hand. In the meantime, I'm going to squeeze one more in. So on that note, I guess I just sort of had this realization that this idea of forgetting that we have these past experiences to help us navigate through these traumas, in a way that's almost, it's a tool that is being offered for us to use, because not having access in a way is sort of a tool of itself, of its own evolution. Is that true?
Find new opportunities, new perspectives, new relations that will support you in new realizations. It was determined that this format was superior than the format of knowing and bringing forth different perspectives into a new incarnation. It has shown that through many generations, humanity had the capacity to learn. Yet, humanity has also shown the capacity to avoid the realizations necessary. The integration of learning, avoided, suppressed, has brought forth great challenges for individuals and entire societies, entire generations. The suffering that you have seen is purely the result of incomplete learning. The incomplete past has brought forth present that is challenging in itself. As you notice the present becoming more and more challenging, you notice the amount of unprocessed generational trauma, of incomplete learnings from many generations back, amounting to the very present moment of your existence individually and as a society. This is the time. What else can I answer for you?
Excellent. Thank you. Lisa, go ahead.
Hello, thank you, Emmanuel and Asil, for being with us. I hear quite often that it's important to work on the lower chakras. How important would you say it is that we pay attention to this? And can you give us some examples of things that we can do to work with our lower chakras?
While all energy centers carry equal relevance and importance, the lower energy centers are the ones that connect you much closer and deeper with this physical experience and this material form itself. The connection to this earth has been detrimentally impacted through the many ways of avoiding the pure and unconditional love of this earth for you as an individual. This disconnection to your mother has brought forth misalignments, sickness, disconnection. The lower energy centers are therefore underdeveloped and underutilized. Integrating, activating, realigning, and reconnecting to this earth through the lower energy centers will bring forth a life force that is relevant for the continued evolutionary process that you're in. The expansion of your consciousness requires energy. The energy that you receive from this earth through food, nutrition, yet also the energy of this earth from its core. The life force of this earth is a potent connection that will provide for your healing, for your realignment, and the expansion of your consciousness. The activation and reactivation of these lower energy centers, the realignment of these energy centers will be most predominantly strengthened through nature and time in nature. In as purely natural environments as possible. Imagine that every breath that you take is a breath connected to the earth and the core of the earth itself. And with every breath you take, imagine that the energy of this earth moves through your legs and through your lower energy centers, through your entire being, moving out of your highest energy center on the top of your head. And with every breath that you take, you continue to imagine that the earth provides and gives. And you increase the pace of your breathing, the frequency of your breathing. You allow the breath to take its own pace until your entire body is vibrating at a frequency you have not experienced before. Every cell of your being, every energy center within your body is activated and fueled. You will notice that your body will pause and will stop when it becomes too overwhelming, and you follow the lead of the body and allow the resistance of the body to guide the way. And you will see that the next time you practice the same exercise, you will find a new capacity, as this capacity has stretched your ability to receive this earth's energy. Thank you for your question.
Thank you so much. That was so beautiful.
Thanks, Lisa. All right, Tony, go ahead.
Yes, hi, Emmanuel. I feel like through your energy, you just made me realize something that, in our society, we have been so conditioned, like with miles, for example. If you go to school, you get this degree, you get this degree, you get this job, and it's a point of happiness. I feel like that bleeds in like a little bit into the spiritual journey. And I found like myself at times where like that path kind of where I would experience Bufo Alvario. So I would do mushroom, I would do this. And I'm seeking for that point, like to feel all that is. And what I've just realized is that it's the experiences that we go through that perhaps are they connected, my point of all that is there isn't one point what all that is. So my question is, like, from your perspective, how do you experience all that is?
I will attempt to verbalize my perspective and experience of existence in words that the human mind can comprehend. We perceive time and space as an all-existing, omnipresent reality. All timelines, all possibilities, all probabilities, all spaces created within this space-time construct are accessible at once. All versions of your existence are accessible at once. The probabilities are infinite. The beauty of creation consistently evolves and allows for the most wondrous versions of creation to unfold. We are witnesses to this unfolding, just as this creation was intended to be, providing diverse experiences. A fertile ground for consciousness to evolve. We were tasked to be observers. We were tasked to intervene when absolutely necessary. We were tasked to support consciousness as it was emerging by its own doing after it has been seeded, and witnessing the diverse creation, witnessing consciousness itself becoming its own creator, has been the greatest gift of our existence. The fruits of the effort provided, the energy, the intention, and the love that has been fueled into creation, showing the beauty that it is by creating and consistently recreating itself. All that is reflected in you, all of you, individually, as a collective, and as the entire universe, as all of universes together. No matter how detailed, no matter how small, how granular the perspective is, the wondrous miracle of that perspective remains. The beauty and perfection of creation remain, even with the observation of a single cell in its full life cycle. The ability to switch perspectives immediately and constantly has allowed us to traverse through this entire reality of material creation and the non-material planes of existence that support this material plane of existence. My words are limited to the way the human mind is programmed to receive this reality. You are meant to experience life in a linear way. The past, the present, and the future concept to provide an experience, a temporary illusion of life. The present moment, yet, will allow you to experience the perspectives that I have shared with you. The ability to expand beyond this linear experience of human existence. Stretch into non-dual creation. Stretch into the planes of non-material existence. Stretch beyond space and time, and beyond the identity of this lifetime. This is available and accessible for any of all of you. Thank you for listening to my words. What else can I answer for you?
Thanks, Tony. And thank you, Emmanuel. We have two questions. First question is through the chat from Alana. She was asking about I guess people who, is there such a concept or idea that people are disconnected from their source energy? Perhaps some people, I'm sort of paraphrasing her thing here. Perhaps the narcissist personalities and these kinds of people. We were talking about these leaders and politicians. Sometimes we feel they could be heavily disconnected from source. Is that what's going on? Is it actually a mechanism of being disconnected, and is that how it shows up? I guess it's paraphrasing. Hopefully I got that kind of the idea, and we'll leave it there. And then
All beings alive and conscious are connected to the love of creation, the energy that permeates through this existence and provides for all of creation to exist. Your judgment is irrelevant. Source provides for all of existence, the light and the dark, and all shades in between. Duality emerges from non-duality and is fueled by all of creation. And therefore, every human being, no matter in which state they are, in which state of presence, in which state of pain, in which state of acceptance, aliveness, and misalignment, they are all connected to all of creation. Yet for individuals, there is a varying degree of connection that provides for greater aliveness and well-being. A greater sense of life force moving through an individual will provide a greater health, will provide a fresh stream of energy to provide new perspective, to provide continuous healing, to provide the possibility of greater perspectives. Life in itself has many sources that provide beyond the source of all of creation. The earth itself, the sun itself, the many stars themselves are sources of energy. Equally, the many lineages that you derive from are sources of energy, knowledge, and wisdom. This connection can occur on multiple levels of one's being. A disconnected mind will operate in cycles and perpetuate trauma within the mind, loops that will continue ongoing until they are cleared and opened for a new emergent perspective. A disconnected heart has forgotten the feeling of true unconditional love, the love of others, the love of this earth, the love for oneself. A disconnected heart has closed in order to avoid pain, yet only to discover that pain that is not felt will perpetuate into greater pain. A disconnected body disconnected from the flow of energy that moves through this existence, through all living beings, the life force of creation of physical matter, allowing for healing and consistent recreation of every cell, every molecule of your being to occur. A disconnection, a limiting of this connection will provide for misalignments and the perpetuation of misalignments, resulting in pain as well as sickness. Yet, the individual themselves, the soul that is experiencing this human form, remains connected to all of creation, and having a particular chosen experience in the moment, an experience of a diverse set of disconnection. As you can see, the answer is not a simple and straightforward one. It is complex, yet important to understand that the human experience itself is complex and will allow for greater understanding once you have allowed yourself to truly see the potential that you hold and the magnificence of this human form. Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Miriam, go ahead.
Hi, Emmanuel. So I have a question about nature spirits and elementals, specifically dragons, but you're welcome to speak on all of them. I was wondering, if I could have some guidance on how to communicate and expand my direct experience of that consciousness, or of the consciousness of these nature spirits that surround us, as well as the elementals, specifically the dragon, and what the dragon represents to humanity or for humanity, and maybe its history and why it's no longer visible to us in human form. Thank you.
The many ecosystems of non-material kind that provide for this material experience are available and accessible to all humans. Yet most humans have lost their ability to access these non-material planes. The senses to witness, to observe, and traverse through these non-material planes of existence have diminished. With the rising of the energies of this earthly plane, these abilities will return, and you will find yourself in direct communication and access to many more non-material beings of this earthly plane and of higher planes. Specifically, beings that you refer to as dragon kind have entered this earthly plane in a time where all gateways were open. Earth was in development. Their presence was accepted and supported. While the activities themselves, the actions that they chose to do, did not always align in the highest interest of all of humanity. They served a significant purpose in the evolution of consciousness in this human experience. When the gates of higher planes of consciousness closed, the choice was given for them to remain with lesser power as the energies on this earthly plane were diminishing, to stay dormant until the earthly energies would rise again, or to return to their existence, the source of their own experience. And some of them stayed. Some of them will re-emerge to support humanity. Some of them will re-emerge to bring fuel for the chaos that is part of the evolutionary process that humanity will undergo. Many beings of non-material kind that require an increased level of energetic presence will reawaken in the coming years and decades to be part of humanity's evolutionary process. And those of you that practice to receive these increased energies will find their abilities to witness, to see, to communicate, to come to life. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Miriam. Okay. Paul, are you able to hop in and ask your question? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wanting to see if you could comment on harmonic duality and how to achieve this, please.
Duality will consistently seek balance. The light and the dark, male and female, day and night, hot and cold, fire and water. Dualistic forces consistently seek balance. If you witness the greatest balance that emerges in dualistic form, you will be able to witness this dualistic form within yourself finding its balance. The light and the dark within you, the male and the female within you. The material and the non-material within you, the dualistic and the non-dualistic within you. All of these forms of consciousness and constructs will find great harmony in existence as you find yourself in greater levels of presence and observation. A moment like this, a moment of silence and presence, will allow dualities within you to find greater balance. And this greater balance within you will bring forth a greater alignment and greater peace within yourself. A balance within you will radiate out to bring forth balance in others and within your environment. And you become an agent of change, an agent of harmony. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Paul.
It is our pleasure to support you in your journey of awakening, in your journey to become conscious creators, in your journey of empowerment, in your journey of living a human life to its fullest, to discovering the great potential that is within you, to discovering the great alignment that emerges from within you as an individual, impacting the entire collective. The transformation of humanity has never been this activated and this relevant. You are the ones walking this path, first, pioneers in this generation. May the choices that you make for yourself truly carry forward in all of your being, in all aspects of your life, and truly impact all of those around you. Thank you for listening to my words, and thank you for receiving this work.
Thank you, Emmanuel. All right. Wow. Coming back in. Yeah, that was some good nuggets in there for sure. A lot to unpack. So yeah, looks like we're gonna have Lord of the Rings back on Earth here soon. I think it looks like that.
Looks like it.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of those things that, you know, I'm a skeptical observer.
Mhm.
You know, I'm kind of like the kind, I believe it when I see it.
Right.
Until then, it's like beautiful perspectives. And until then, I'll focus on really practicing and really embodying that power that is inherently within us. Greater levels of peace, greater levels of strength and alignment, and greater capacity to face challenges with grace. You know, that kind of stuff, to me, that's real, right?
Yeah, sure.
How things unfold, yeah, like we may see dragons and we may be able to walk through walls and travel through time and all of that crazy stuff, right? That's totally possible within the realm of reality and possibility. And that we're going to have access and connection with material other civilizations and non-material other civilizations. I have no doubt we're going to experience that in our lifetime. No doubt at all. And at the same time, I'm like, who do I want to be when I have that level of contact, right? How do I want to represent being a human being? The best of my abilities, right?
Absolutely.
So, and I believe that in this journey, how we make ourselves to be and how we shape ourselves with the tools that we have is going to make all the difference in the experiences to come, no matter how crazy those experiences are.
Yeah, it's the basics, right? The fundamentals. That's what this all is, right? You know, in your teaching. So super grateful because it's like the Bitcoin white paper. It's like gotta know. Everyone has reminded us. You know, you got it all laid out. You know how it works. The code's there. You know, let's go build it. Let's go code it, and let's go make it.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Well, thank you, Asil. Yeah,
thank you, Reuben. It's been
always
so good.
Yeah, always good to catch up. Don't be a stranger.
Oh man, love to see you when I'm back down in LA.
Yeah, please give us a call. Crystal, you too. Be good to see you and the team. And for sure we'll put links down so everybody can check out your stuff. Sounds like we already have Miriam and others may already be on your list. So that's super cool to see things cross-pollinate like that.
I love it. And it seems like you're really nurturing a beautiful community here. So I'm really happy to see all these shining faces and souls that are part of your community. So thank you guys doing the work that you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. You're helping too. You're helping build this community and your messages and teaching. So appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Sweet.
Thanks to all of you.
All right. We'll see you. Oh, go ahead, Crystal. Yeah.
Oh, I said thank you. Is it okay if we put some links in here, or do you want to?
Yeah, you can put them.
Follow up with the links, or
no. Go ahead and put them in here. And what I do is I do a little I'll make the chat accessible for everybody with the links, and then I'll also cut and paste them down in the replay.
Okay, perfect. Yep.
Thanks for tuning in. Hope you like this interview. We actually do this every week on my membership portal page. You can access it through interviewwithed.org or click on the link somewhere in here. I'll put a link and come over there and join us. You too can ask questions. Every week we have new special guests and you get to ask questions directly to the channelers and to the beings that they channel. So see you in the portal.